Episode 8 of My Perfect Stranger begins with us returning to the crime scene. A murder has occurred after all, and in the rain-soaked streets, Hae-jun and Yoon-young rush out to investigate. Byum-ryong is there first, and he fingers the black ring before collapsing on the ground. Mi-suk is fine, though, and she narrates the whole experience, cryptically mentioning how one can't reverse fate and a bunch of other statements that all seem rather conspicuous. Back at the crime scene, though, Yoon-young finds the matchbox, right next to Ju-young and the familiar message, "A woman who reads is dangerous." Hae-jun is shocked and questions why Byum-ryong phoned, demanding an explanation. Byum-ryong claims that he and Ju-young ran into each other yesterday, but he's more concerned about the fact that he could get into trouble for talking to a "kami" than the murder itself. This interaction, though, does confirm that Ju-young never left town after all and was here the whole time. Hae-jun is shocked, especially as the police arrive at the scene and begin to investigate. That's not all, though, in a shocking turn of events. Hae-jun finds another crime scene further up the road. And the victim? Kyung-yi. She too has the same matchbox on her, meaning the timeline has just been moved up a lot quicker than expected. 2 murders in one night, to be precise. When Yoon-young shows up just after, she's understandably shocked. Of course, Soon-yi and the rest of the family are only now being caught up to speed, and it's heartbreaking to watch as Kyung-yi's father slowly gains the realization that his daughter is dead and has to be restrained by officers at the scene. Hae-jun takes Yoon-young aside and believes that it's hopeless. Despite the time and place changing, 2 people have still died, and he believes there is nothing they can do to change anything. Hae-jun decides to work on fixing the car instead, so they can return to their timeline. Mi-suk has been acting suspiciously for a while, but so too has Kim Hae-kyung. On their way to school, Mi-suk tells her to relax her face, claiming that she's acting suspiciously. Baek is a good detective, though, and in the midst of all this, he figures out pretty quickly that both victims have matchboxes next to them. Detective Baek also checks out the message inside, but the chief just wants to close all of this out as quickly as possible, asking his subordinates to round up everyone suspicious so they can question them. As a result of all this, Soon-yi is heartbroken to see her mother acting erratically, completely traumatized by the experience. She imagines the phone ringing and even accidentally slashes her wrist while washing up. She's not of sane mind, so Soon-yi rushes out, leaving Yoon-young caught in the middle of all this. Given she's there witnessing it all, Yoon-young rushes back to Hae-jun and admits that she's worried something bad is going to happen to her grandmother, and she pleads with Hae-jun to use his efforts to try and save her. She doesn't believe they're back at square one and should use what they've learned to try and leverage this in their favor. Specifically through saving her grandmother. A new arrival in town sees a guy named Yun-woo show up. This happens to be Principal Yoon's son, and he greets his father warmly as they drive into town. He's somewhat hesitant about meeting Hae-jun, claiming that he likes the name, but traffic is held up heading into the town center thanks to police arresting a couple of thugs. Yun-woo shows up at Hae-jun's and drops off the Rubik's Cube he's been messing about with, claiming that he likes smart people and trying to get some words out of Yoon-young. Soon-yi heads back home and finds her mom reminiscing on old times, seeing Kyung-yi in flashbacks across the living room. She wishes she hadn't been so cold and had just given her daughter a hug. When Soon-yi heads into the living room sometime later, she finds her mother gone. But where? Well, it turns out she's gone all the way up to the cliff edge and looks close to jumping. Hae-jun scrambles up there and manages to step up, stopping that from happening. He urges her to keep on living. "Will you be at peace knowing you've left them behind?" He says this, pleading with her to keep on living for the sake of her family. She turns, holding out her hand, as Hae-jun manages to save her life. Yoon-young is there too, and although she doesn't say anything, she does embrace Hae-jun that night as her way of thanking him for taking that step and saving her grandmother. Yoon-young also points out that Yun-woo stopped by earlier on, and it's here that we learn that he's actually Hae-jun's father. Before we get a chance to digest this news, Hae-jun and Yoon-young go over the 3 potential culprits for the murders. Min-soo's wrist was badly hurt, not broken. He seems incapable of tying the ropes, while Byung-ryong's fear of being arrested seems to chalk him off the list too, especially as he was unaware of Kyung-ye's murder, so, that leaves the person who told the biggest lie, Ko Mi-suk. She's been wrapped up in all of this from the very start. And what about Yoo Se-op too? It's all very much up in the air at the moment. Hee Se-op is questioned by Yoon Young and Hae Jun, who end up finding a bloodied rag in his bag. He actually met with Mi-suk 2 hours earlier. Within this meeting, Mi-suk reiterates what she said at the start of the episode, but this time there's a little more context to who she's talking to. She claims to be able to take care of Hee Se-op's weakness, showing off the blue cap she retrieved from the hospital. She tells him he should have thrown it out properly, and suggests they collaborate, whispering something in his ear. As we cut back to the present, Hee Se-op claims that he's the real killer and the rags are his own. Yoon Young tries hard to keep it all to herself, bitterly retorting that Hee Se-op is a pathetic human being. However, Hee Se-op suddenly experiences some weird mental issues, clutching his ears and claiming that there's someone dying. Yoon Young and Hae Jun decide to leave him to his fate, and that comes from Detective Beck showing up and overhearing everything. He's not happy, but he grabs handcuffs and decides to arrest Hee Se-op. With her father arrested, Yoon Young believes that all of this will cause her to eventually disappear, especially if Soon Yi and Hee Se-op don't end up together. Hae Jun, though, refuses to believe this is the case and, in fact, reassures her that he's more determined than ever to crack this. In another bombshell, he tells her that he doesn't think Hee Se-op is responsible and walks away.